Welcome back to Money with Mission. This is Dr. Felicia Fro, your host, and I am excited, as always, to have our guest, Tara Zaluski, with me, who I'm going to tell you about here in just a moment. Before I do that, I've kind of hinted at some things that are new and upcoming. You don't have to wait much longer. Coming soon, really soon. And, we are sponsored by Money with Mission, whose vision is that every woman have the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that is not in her best interest. Again, to that end, we have guests on the show talking about their transformations, what they went through, how they came from the money story they started out with to the money story they have today, and things they're doing to keep that going. Okay, today we have Tara Zaluski. Tara grew up surrounded by challenges that could have broken her, but instead they became her foundation to fight for a better future. She is now a powerhouse leader, entrepreneur, and strategist known for her no-nonsense approach to success. She is CEO of RTZ Property Services and thrives on structure, high standards, and results. Her journey is one of resilience, overcoming personal and professional adversity to build systems that work. She doesn't just inspire change, she demands it. Welcome to the show, Tara. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Welcome back again to Money with Mission, you guys. As we're talking to Tara Zaluski today, and she is here from Pittsburgh. Welcome to the show, Tara. It's good to see you.
Yes, thank you for having me.
It's really exciting. I met Tara through another podcaster who has been on the show, and I can't remember what episode. And Tara is making the rounds, promoting the things that she is doing, which are amazing, and we're going to get to that. Well, first question I ask everybody, Tara, is tell us your money story. Were you born with a silver spoon in your mouth? Did you come from zillions of dollars and now you're just zillions of dollars more ahead? Or tell us about how you got here.
Yeah, so no, not at all. Definitely didn't grow up in a family with any money at all. I actually, at 16, was put in an all-girls home. So that's like where my life started. Because basically right after being put in there, I was on my own, essentially. Didn't end up moving back in with my parents after that journey. And didn't have direction, though, I wouldn't say at that point. Didn't really know what I was going to do or where I was going to go. And I just knew I didn't want to go to college. Had no interest in that. But through that journey, the all-girls home, I learned a lot of things, to be honest, about discipline and about money, because whenever you stay there, because it's just supposed to be temporary, but I actually chose to stay there. They make you save 70% of your money. You have to have a job. You have to attend school, because they want you to be prepared, right, for whenever you move out of the all-girls home and you do go on your own at 18 years old or whenever you graduate. So that's where kind of my money journey started, very basic. And I just realized after that I didn't learn much about money or financial literacy in a school. So that's been something that's been on my heart after all of these years and learning it. I would say the hard way and the long way. So I just want to share these things with other people. So hopefully their journey is much quicker than mine was.
Got it. Do you mind sharing, when you say girls' home, was it a school? It sounds like someplace you lived. Was it for, had you committed a crime and you were put here, or what got you there?
Yeah, so basically I had skipped school, and it was a place that my parents had put me because I guess I'd skipped school. They thought that they were sick and tired maybe of the things I was doing or whatever, but no, I didn't commit a crime. I didn't do anything super harsh. It was essentially like one of those places like you've seen on TV, Scary Straight or whatever, something like that. You'd go there for a few weeks and then you intend on going back home. But for me, I didn't want to go back home. I didn't like either of my home life. My parents lived separately, were divorced. So for me, I actually chose to stay there because I thought it would be better for me than going back home. So that's what I did.
Got it. So your parents were having the struggles they were having. You were having the struggles you were having. They felt like we can't help her by ourselves. Let's give her this girls' home. And from there, they taught you some things where you were still going to school and they taught you this, your basic, your fundamentals. Now I'm sure you had money lessons before that you may not think. We all learn stuff up way before we ever think about we learn something. But at least what you're thinking of now is at the girls' school, at the girls' home, they made you save money. So you had a job.
Yeah. So at the girls' home, I had to make some hard decisions at that age. I had already switched schools 6 times. So I did not want to switch schools again. So in terms by making that choice, I actually had to ride 2 buses to school in the morning and 2 buses back home, which meant I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning every day just to be to school on time. And a part of it, as you said, I did have to have a job. So I had a job at a pizza shop after school that I typically started at 5 o'clock and worked until 10 o'clock because I didn't get home until about that time anyways.
Right.
So I'd walk to work and then I'd walk back home. But yeah, it was a whole different lifestyle, to be completely honest. I was the only white girl in the facility. I was in a whole new area that I'd never been to. So it was like a culture difference for me.
Yeah.
And learning just where things were and how to get around. And honestly, I think about it now and I couldn't even imagine letting my daughter like walk these streets at night like I was at 16 years old so that I could go to work and come home. So it's very interesting, honestly.
It is very interesting. And I'm just thinking of how much you grew up from the time your parents felt like we can't handle her anymore. And you're there, and the responsibility you seem to take on just from what you're saying right now, pretty quickly after you got there. It's like, I don't want to change my school. Okay, well, here's what I've got to do that. They tell me I have to have a job. So you got a job. You didn't decide to run out on that. And like, okay, you decided this is a better place for me to be than in my home with my mom or my dad. Those are some big adult kind of decisions to be making at 16. You grew up pretty quick there.
Yeah. And to be honest, I think I grew up many years before that because once I had moved in with my mom at 12 years old, she worked night shift. So she was at work. She had to be there at 8 and she worked until 5 in the morning. So as you can imagine, she was leaving much earlier. She worked in the city.
Okay.
So honestly, from 12 years old, I didn't really have any like supervision or parental person around really at night because she'd be sleeping and then she'd get up and get ready for work and work all night. And then, I'd be already like getting off to school by the time she'd be getting home in the morning. So to be
that school, the school you didn't go to all the time. That's good.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I didn't skip school a lot or anything. That just happened to be a time that I did.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you were in the girls' home. You knew you didn't want to go to college. You had a job. There were one of the requirements of the home was that you had to save 70% of your money that you earned. Did you have to pay bills at the home?
No.
Okay.
I was there for about 6 months. And then I decided that I was really exhausted, to be honest, with the traveling back and forth and working at night. So honestly, I just wanted to get back to the area where I went to school. I just wanted to be able to graduate. I believe I was a junior at that time, so I still had another year to go. And I found a lady basically who was like an aunt to me. She said, you can move in with me. You have to pay $50 a week. So $200 a month, basically, to live here. And you can finish out school and all of that. So that's what I ended up doing after that is begin with her paying rent and still just continuing that tradition of like, I just want to like finish school, graduate. I had a job and had to pay rent and everything like that. So I transitioned over back to where I was living previously.
Okay. Got it. So now you've graduated and so you've been paying rent since you were a junior in high school, a little earlier than that, actually. So what were you thinking about money at this time, if you can remember? It's like money is something I have to work for to get. It comes and goes. What kind of thoughts were you having around it at that point?
Yeah, it was just basically like I knew it was this thing that I needed, right? But I still had no idea about passive income or really budgeting too much. I obviously was paying bills. I bought my own car like right after I graduated. So I was able to do that and pay for that as well, right? My own insurance, my own car payment. So it was more of just like I knew this was something I needed to survive because I'd already been doing it. And I also wanted to get my own place. So very quickly, I had all the things, right? Like I had my own apartment, I had a brand new car because after I bought my first car, literally a year later, I bought a brand new car.
Okay.
So that's where I say the financial literacy wasn't there. I pretty much just paid a bunch of interest on my first car and then just started all over again.
Well, what I'm hearing is that there was knowledge there that it's not a matter of just bringing money in, letting go, bring it. You saved so that you could buy this car. You saved so you could have the apartment. You knew you had to pay your rent. You had all these bills to pay. And that's actually, to me, a little advanced for high school. And maybe, I don't remember thinking like that in high school. I really don't. So you seem advanced. Did you have an example? Was there somebody that, maybe if you don't even think of them as a mentor, who you were emulating at that time? Or were there people you were not, it's like, I'm never going to be like that? One way they were positive or they were negative. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So, yeah, I knew, I don't know. Honestly, I didn't have anyone I was emulating. I know that for sure.
Okay.
On my own and was very independent and wanted that freedom. So I knew I had to work to have that and be able to, like you said, just pay my bills and survive. And I had this, because I didn't have the maturity I feel like I should have had. Maybe I'm too hard on myself, but
You're too hard on yourself. Go ahead.
I think back now, and I have for many years, of like, oh my gosh, all the money I wasted and all these things because I was working two jobs, because I had my own things and nice things, and I was able to go out when I wanted and do the things I wanted. I'm going to clubs, getting VIP, and just these things that now I'm just like, oh my gosh, that was so dumb. Like I wasted so much money. Like I could have been investing in houses and doing all these things that would have been created this great future for me. So I guess that's the big thing I want to teach people is like, don't chase like the shiny penny right now, right? Or what you want right now. Like try to think about what you truly want like out of life.
That is amazing. I'm going to chase a couple of pennies here and there, but make sure it doesn't cost you too much down the road. You have that long-term vision of where you want to go and what you want to see, and we could talk about that because that changes too. This is where I'm going. And then, but I want to have fun today. From my experience I went high school, college, med school, residency, it was delayed gratification after delayed gratification. And once I was making money, I was spending money. It was, like, oh my gosh, finally. And then the thought came like, okay, this ain't gonna last forever. I'm not going to keep running this wheel. When did that come for you of that? Okay, I've got to start having a plan and not just live for today. Even though living for today is a good thing, we do have to also plan for the future.
Yeah.
Come for you.
But I got pregnant with my son.
Okay. Pregnancy will do that too. Knowing there's somebody else you got to take care of will definitely do that for you.
Yeah.
All right. And then, so what did that do? How did your plans come around with that pregnancy?
So I was in the service industry, bartending. Like I said, I always worked a ton, like 7 days a week. And I had what I wanted. So that was the first time I realized like, this is not going to be forever. And you just don't think that way in your 20s. And that's when I started thinking about my future and what am I going to do? I don't want to stay in the bar. That's when they still smoked in bars. So I'm obviously pregnant. Don't want to just be in those environments of the smoke and everything. And also my body's going to change, right? So This isn't great to be behind the bar, super pregnant.
With your 8-month pregnant belly. Yes, that'd be interesting.
It was great at first. I'm not going to lie. My boobs were huge. And I didn't have no belly, right? I was great for bartending, but that does change at some point. I'm just
So first you got a lot more tips.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, so that's when it changed for me. So I decided my criteria was so minimal at that point. It was like, what can I do in the fastest amount of time? Because I didn't want to go to college. So I'm like, what can I do in like 2 years? Have a career that I'm not going to get out of college and not like be able to get a job, and also just be able to make a decent amount of money for only going to college for 2 years. So I went into ultrasound that time.
Okay.
Yeah. I thought I had this whole plan and was doing really well actually at a school, getting pretty much all A's and maybe a B here and there.
Uh-huh.
And went through my pregnancy, but at 8 months pregnant, I actually fell down the steps to my house. And because I didn't want to fall on my belly, because I was falling forward, I knew that I had to sacrifice like my leg or something underneath me to like catch that fall. So
Right.
I did that. I heard something break. I didn't know what it was at that point, but ended up breaking my ankle in 3 places. They told me I would be non-weight bearing for the entire time, because if I did step on it or try to use it, then I would have to get surgery and get pins and plates and stuff like that.
Okay.
So had to medically withdraw from school at that point, because there was no way for me to, for the next 2 months, be on that leg at all.
Okay. So you were how far? Almost done? How much?
Yeah, I was about 8 months pregnant at that time.
And with school, how much more did you have to go when you had to withdraw?
So I'd only been going, I think like 3 semesters at that point.
Okay.
So not even a year. So I
Okay.
still had over a year.
Okay. All right. So here you are, 8 months pregnant. Did you deliver early from the fall, or he stayed in there and hung out till it was?
No, so I delivered 4 weeks early.
Okay.
I don't know if it was because of the fall, because I delivered my second child 8 weeks early.
Okay.
So
You have babies like mine that just like, I'm tired of being in here. It's time for me to get out of here.
yeah.
Okay. So he was born, and were you still on non-weight bearing? It sounds like you probably were.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Talk through your thought processes. I'm sure there was some depression going on, some real sadness about what's my life going to look like now. I had this plan for this ultrasonography career. I'm going to be doing that, making money, making people happy, all those things. And now you're non-weight bearing with a baby.
Yeah. So actually, through the non-weight bearing, I started hustling phones. So when I say that, it's back in the era when Cricket just started pretty much. They were very popular at this point. Everyone loved it. They were a very inexpensive service, and they were also an unlimited service. But the thing they didn't like was that they didn't have nice phones like Verizon. So what I was able to do was I'd get on Craigslist, I'd buy the phones, Verizon phones. Now, I didn't know how to switch them, but there was a gentleman that I would resell the phones to, and he knew how to change the software on the Verizon phones to make them work for Cricket.
Okay.
So even though I was non-weight bearing and on crutches, I would maneuver myself, go buy some phones, I'd resell them, make some money off them, and then he would do his thing with the software, and he would resell them on his own, and he'd make money.
Right. Okay. All right.
After doing that for a few months, so when I was still pregnant, and then even after I was pregnant, he finally asked me to go into business. So we actually opened our own cell phone store with my little child, right, at this point. And I actually ended up cutting my cast off myself. I was like, I'm done with this, cut it off, and
You didn't fall off with it. Everything went fine.
yeah. Never needed pins and plates. I think I had it on long enough, enough at that point that things healed. And I was just like, I can't do this. You know what I mean? And why I did that was because I actually had a doctor's appointment for a checkup. I went to my doctor's appointment. The doctor never showed. And they're like, oh, sorry, by the way, he's traveling and not here. So it was a waste of my time. And I said, and after that, I was like, I cut it off.
Got it. There was a drive to do. I got it. Okay. Makes sense. Makes sense. So you opened the cell phone brick and mortar stores with this guy. So that's your first real entrepreneurial Well, the hustling the phones was the entrepreneur part. And then you furthered that by doing this with this guy. What did you learn in that experience?
I just learned, I think the basics, like very, very basics of business. Like I started to learn how to delegate out tasks and learning like profit and loss sheets, right? Balance sheets, just knowing what was going out, what's coming back in. And we were just very fortunate that we made money from the beginning. So we never like had debt and we made money the entire time. We had opened 3 stores within like a year and a half.
Okay.
So everything moved very quickly. And it kept me stuck, though, if I'm going to be honest. Like, I knew it wasn't what I wanted to do long term, but I got stuck in that comfortability of I'm making money, I'm supporting my family, and I just continued doing it. Even though I knew then that I wanted to do real estate, I put it off for another 8 years.
Okay. How did you know then you wanted to do real estate? What about real estate did you see as the thing to be for you?
So I knew because I was looking for a house at that time. I was renting, but after I had my son, I wanted to buy our own home. So I was just so excited about looking at houses and I knew it was different. It wasn't just because I was buying a house. Beyond that, like just envisioning what a house could be because I didn't have this big budget or anything. So I'm looking at houses that are outdated and green carpet and smell like old people, whatever's going on there, mothballs,
cats, all the ickiness. Yes.
Yeah. And or places that were just trash, to be honest. So, and it excited me. And so that's how I knew I was like, I really, really like want to buy houses and I want to redo them and make them nice again. And I was just way too excited about it and just always wanted to go look at houses. But like I said, I still sat in that comfortability and didn't follow my dream for another 8 years.
Well, how many have done that? I've done it, knew that this isn't where I want to be. I want to do something else, but man, this is comfortable. It's very comfortable. It's hard. It's hard to go out until when you feel that something happens, and maybe it happened. We'll talk about what happened to make you finally move.
So for me, what happened to me to make me finally move was, I think it was a couple of things. I wanted to end my marriage. I never wanted to get married. As sad as that is to say, I thought it was the right thing to do because I had a child with this person and I'm a Christian and people were pushing me to like, that's what you're supposed to do. So I did that and I really, really tried to make it work. We were together for a very long time, probably like 10 years, but it just wasn't right. I had these goals, I had these dreams, these things, like I said, I knew I wanted to do, even though I wasn't pursuing them. And I also felt held back because this other person wasn't like encouraging me or wanting to do any of these things at all. So it was just really hard. And I think that was another reason why I just stayed in that comfortability and where I was at. But then the next thing that happened was my husband actually at the time got in a horrific motorcycle accident. So that kind of pivoted my life once again of seeing how quickly things can change and that you may just not even be here, right? He didn't do anything wrong. He's just driving home from work and somebody did an illegal U-turn in front of him. And now here we are not even knowing if he's going to be alive. And I'm a 3-year-old son as well.
Yeah. So before you had the accident, you were already in a place of, this is not the place I want to be financially, relationship wise. I don't want to be here. And I'm staying because it's comfortable, even if it's not the thought process. Why now you look back and you can say, I stayed because I was comfortable. It was what was working right at the time, even if I'm not happy. He has the accident. What about that accident made you move?
It was knowing how quickly life can change and end, right? Like he could have not been here. And honestly, we don't even know how he's here besides like a miracle because he tore his aorta open.
Okay.
Technically, medically, right? He should have bled out within 2 minutes.
Quickly, yes.
Knowing how he did it. And he had tons and tons of injuries, right? So I had become a stay-at-home nurse. He was in the hospital for a month in trauma, like before he could even come home. And they didn't even want me to bring him home. They wanted me to put him in a rehab facility because he was non-weight bearing on 3 legs. He had a lot of brain damage and different things. But I knew because of that brain damage that if I just put him in a facility, he wouldn't do as well as if he came home to the people, his family and familiar things. So I took on that burden because I'm like, at the time he was like 30, young 30s, right? We have a 3-year-old. I'm like, he has his whole life ahead of him. Like he needs to get better.
Yeah.
So he can live his life.
Yeah.
So that just totally changed everything for me of realizing like, what am I doing and why am I not like pursuing my dreams and the things I want to do? Because this is how quickly things can change. You can wake up one morning and your whole life has changed, or maybe you don't wake up one morning.
One morning. Yes. Yes. That whole, what will you regret on your deathbed that you didn't do? That question is something that I ask myself. It's like, am I going to feel okay that I didn't do this or that I did do this on that final day? And that actually moves me often, even if I'm afraid. It's like, yeah, I don't, or I'm going to tell my kids that I didn't do this or I did do this. And then because I was afraid, like, oh, no, we're not doing that. Let's move past the fear kind of thing. Okay. So you nursed him for a good while, I'm sure, got him back to functioning. And then you got a divorce, or tell us, did you guys end up staying together? What happened?
No. I'm sure many people could agree with me. When you go through like something like that, even if you didn't have problems, it changes the whole relationship when you have to take care of someone in that way for such a long period of time. So no, my intentions never changed through all of that. And I still left after he was good and working again and all of the things. Yeah. So for me, I moved on.
Okay. All right. So you've been through a lot. Just in our however long we've been talking, we've been through a lot. Now you've started this company where you're rehabbing, you're helping people find homes, you're helping people get into homes in your area now, Pittsburgh, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have a partner that have found your brother, RTZ Property Services. Talk about how you started with that. I know go back to you wanted to own a house and you were really excited about that and you looked at junk houses. So is that the beginning of that?
That was the beginning. So I bought my first investment property when I left my husband in 2014 because, like I said, I'd always wanted to do that, but he discouraged me because he just wanted to buy a single family home and just a house for us. And so it was like the first thing I did as soon as I left, I bought a duplex.
Okay.
And started that investment journey. And so I had that for a few years, just seeing like how I liked being a landlord and if I could do it. And these different things, right, encouraged me. And through that, I'm getting the divorce as well. I had redone our house. So when we got our divorce, our house sold in like a day for multiple offers. So between those two things, it really encouraged me to be like, okay, I can do this, right? Like it gave me some confidence. And so then I got my real estate license so that I could start learning the contracts, the process, start meeting people, all the stuff. But I only did it for that reason. Like the goal was always to be a real estate investor, not an
Okay.
So that was like a middleman to get me there.
Yeah.
So once I started doing that, I told my brother, hey, I'm going to start flipping properties. Like I know this is what I want to do. And he said, I want to do it too. So like, I want to do it with you. And I was like, okay, great. Because he knew a lot more about construction than I did because he worked a lot of construction jobs through high school and everything. So I'm like, all right, let's do this. So literally we bought our first flip in basically 2019, the very end of December 18 or something like that. But we started working on it in 2019. We both had our full-time jobs and it took us 5 months to do the renovation.
Okay.
And so we knew very quickly, like, we can't do this. We need to make a decision. Like, we either need to hire contractors or something because this is way too long.
Move fast.
And we're killing ourselves, literally trying to do it because we did all the work ourselves. But I will say that house too, it sold, I think, in a couple of days. We had multiple offers on that one as well. So that was encouraging that we were heading in the right direction.
Okay.
So we started hiring contractors.
Let me ask you back on that first house that you bought. Did you guys buy it with cash? Did you get a loan? How did you buy that property and finance the rehab?
Yes, and it was all cash that I had saved up from selling my previous house.
Okay. How much did it cost? Do you remember?
25,000 for
Okay.
the house, and then it was about $40,000 in renovation.
Okay. So you had 65 in, 70 in, and what'd you sell it for?
We sold it for 90,000.
Okay. And that was 5 months of work, including your time. So you took your cash and you can value your time. Anybody can value their time at whatever they want to value it at. And you made a $20,000. Great. But you learned a ton, it sounds like, about what you can do. You built your confidence up. So there's reasons to do things, not just for the money, but for what you're going to get. This is our start. This is where we're going to start on this thing. And the things you learn about what you do and don't want to do in your life. I don't want to be 5 months of rehabbing something. I don't want to be working a full-time job and in the evenings coming over and fixing up whatever. It's important. You don't have to do it yourself. You can listen to Tara and figure out what you want to do. You can listen to me, figure out what we've done right and wrong, and make different mistakes. You don't have to make the same ones we make, which I think is the key to having people to mentor you, to talk to listen to. Just, it makes it go faster when you can learn from somebody else's mistakes. And there's a lot of mistakes being made out here. I've made a ton, lost a ton of money, and I want to not have that happen to any of you out there. Have you guys, Tara, done any flips where you lost money? Let's talk about where that and the lessons learned from that kind of thing.
Yeah, so our second flip, we hired contractors and we ended up losing money on that deal because once you hire one bad contractor, you end up down that rabbit hole, right? For a couple of different reasons. So we had somebody already scheduled. They weren't doing the work right. We had to pull them out immediately, rip out that work, rebuy materials. But the big problem comes in is now you have this job that's already started. We were using private lenders at this point on the projects. So we have people that we have to pay interest every single day. And so then you're trying to hurry up and find someone to get back in so that the project doesn't go way over. And so then when we had someone come in, a second person, right, they end up not doing things right. So it end up in this like downward spiral of we're like stuck in this trying to find someone quickly. And yeah, we end up losing $10,000 on that deal because of holding our integrity, making sure the work was done right, ripping it back out, redoing it, to my brother and even myself having to go back in, and he did the majority of the work that needed to be redone. But that was like a third time right now at this point that we're like redoing some different thing.
What's your lesson? What was your lesson from that one?
So we ended up starting our own construction company was our lesson. Like that's how we took it, is we were just like, we're not going to mess around with this. It's really hard to find good contractors. So we're going to actually hire them ourselves, train them, ensure that they're doing the work right, and then they can work on our jobs.
So that would have been my lesson. I don't know if I would have started my own construction company, but my lesson all along has been find the right partners. Yes. And you got to make sure, and it is not easy. You kiss a lot of frogs, just like when you're trying to find your mate for life. You kiss a lot of frogs and lose money, and it's very difficult. Again, so you talking to people, having a great network, who's got a great contractor, who's just knowing that kind of stuff makes life a lot easier. Or you start your own construction company and train people to be what you want them to be. So that's a way to go. Your brother knew the contracting world, so he could do that for you guys. That's amazing. So now you're doing this, you're revitalizing neighborhoods, you're revitalizing cities. Tell us all this stuff that you guys, your big, hairy, audacious goal for your companies.
Yeah, so now for the last 2 years, we've been investing in a specific area here called McKeesport, and we feel that we're supposed to be in that area. So like I said, we've been investing there for the last 2 years, revitalizing the houses. And now we're starting to educate the community and we're able to get into McKeesport High School, start educating the juniors and seniors on some financial literacy and kind of what this all looks like, right? Passive income and not having to live paycheck to paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So super excited about that. And we're going to create some more events, though, within the community as a whole, because we want this to be for everyone. This isn't just for the kids. I do think it's important since they're the next generation coming up. But I also want, if that 60-year-old person has never owned a house and they want to buy a house for the first time in their life, I want to make sure that we're really getting to everyone.
I love it. We talked a little bit before we started about generational wealth and what that could mean and look like. And there was really good conversation, because when I think about generational wealth, before we had our conversation, I did think about, I have to make a bunch of money so I can pass it along. Mm-hmm. And sometimes it's about taking that first step to generational wealth, helping that family who no one's ever owned a house get that house so that their kids can see, oh my gosh, we can do this. And they take it the next step and the next step and the next step. Knowledge is something else. Knowledge with action is that building, the starting of building that generational wealth. So it seems overwhelming to think about generations living off your money, but think of them living off your knowledge and the things that you learned and put into place. That's big. I really like that. You guys are looking to help investors invest and to improve these cities, improve the town. And then you said you're like ready to take this global. It sounds like let's do this.
Yeah, I would just love, because it's what you just said and what we spoke about before. Like, this is all about changing mindsets, and that's a really hard thing to do. But that's my goal, is to show people, just because this is the way it's been, that doesn't mean that's the way it has to be. And just even sharing my story of where I came from and the different things that have happened, I didn't come from anything either. So I think that's huge, of showing people it truly doesn't matter at all. And it's what you said, but you have to take the action. I can tell you all day long and give you the roadmap, but if you're not going to use it, then it doesn't really matter.
It's just nowhere. I love it. How can people get in touch with you? I think this is very inspiring. And I don't know, McKeesport, is that where you, with the city? Okay. Near Pittsburgh?
Yeah, it's about 30 minutes outside of Pittsburgh.
Okay. Wow. All right. So I could imagine Money with Mission audience being very interested in this and maybe flooding you guys with, how can I help? Mm-hmm. Tell them how to reach you so they can ask that question.
Yeah. So any of the socials, Tara Zaluski is my name on all of them. Okay. So really, or our website, which is rtz.one.
Okay. And all that'll be in the show notes, you guys, because I know nobody's sitting down there with a paper. And this is for the one who is. So good job. And reach out to Tara. Go online, look and see what she's doing. This is some good stuff. We're talking about changing the world. We change it one neighborhood at a time. Mm-hmm. Let's do it. Tara, thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.